All right, starting a septic repair job this morning. Basically, this house has a tank up there on that side of the tree, and it comes down and it has 4 existing lateral lines running this way, perpendicular to the house. They have really bad soils here. They've got really heavy clays, and so basically the system's getting a little overwhelmed. And then in addition to that, they also had an accident where a landscaper or somebody was driving around their yard with a trailer with a bobcat on it in the winter, and they basically made some really deep ruts here and there and there, and then they came back with an excavator and tried to fix it, and they dug this out, really didn't know what they were doing, and then they got called off the job and told to go home. So anyway, here we are. The issue he's been having is he's having a lot of effluent coming out of his curtain drain, which is basically like a French drain that goes around the whole system, and it daylights out over there into that ditch, and a lot of effluent's coming out of that pipe. And the issue, I believe, is when all these lines are filling up with effluent, this last line here, they dug from this line, which is running right about right here where I've dug out here. Dug out up there with a shovel a little bit to find the line, but it runs this way. They dug from here over to here, and I don't know if you can see that hump, but they dug that out and they hit the curtain drain over here. And then when they backfilled this, they just backfilled it without compacting anything. So I believe effluent is leaking out of this lateral line over into this curtain drain line here, and then going out the discharge over there. So the repair that the health department came up with is to, 1, dig this out and place clay and compact it in here to kind of create a dam to keep the water coming out of this lateral over to this curtain drain. Step 2 is to abandon the curtain drain line that goes along the downhill side of this whole system. So I can show the drawing, but they basically did a French drain around the entire system and then daylighted out to that ditch. And the health department does not want a French drain or curtain drain on the downhill side of this system because it's accepting effluent that's flowing between the topsoil layer and clay layer. So we're going to abandon this line, and the way I'm going to do that is basically cap it here at the discharge, plug it with clay, cap it on that end, and cap it behind me on the other end. Then we're going to find this corner over here, and we're going to run out a little bit further over to the property line and then down back over to the ditch. We're going to do the same thing on this side. We're going to find the corner over here, cap it off, hook onto the line that's going parallel with the driveway, and take it all the way to the ditch. Step 3 is I'm going to bring in about 8 loads of topsoil and cover this whole area with additional dirt. These chambers are supposed to have at least 6 inches of cover over them. There's spots out here that I've probed that they've only got like 2 inches of cover over them. So we're going to get some extra dirt on here. Before I do that, I'll obviously till this whole area up. Step 4 is we're going to add an additional lateral line. So I'm going to tie onto this one here with a hillside box. I'm going to install a new box there. I'm going to run over to another hillside box over here and then run another lateral line in here with chambers and try to fit about 90 something feet. I think I'm going to try to fit in here over till I hit the driveway. All right, battery died on me, but we found the outlet pipe here going into the ditch. Got it plugged. See that? So leave that open for inspection, but that'll get backfilled. I'm gonna try to find where it goes up here and plug it there. And then I gotta locate the corner of the curtain drain over there and the corner of the curtain drain over there. All right, we'll get down here in the hole. You can see we got that pipe exposed and that pipe exposed. That's the one going towards the curtain drain. So we want to put a cap on that. And I'm also going to round that one up a little bit and put a cap on that. And that should plug this line that's going out to the road that we already have a cap on as well. So I'll explain a little bit more here. You might have seen that dust fly up in the air. It was a 1-inch service line to a house that was about 3 or 4 houses down from here. And basically that was the old farmhouse. Line went in, you know, years ago, had no tracer wire, could not be marked, and they never even mentioned it was there. I had all my 811 locates in, everything like that, so no foul on me, but they ended up boring a new line the next day across the road from the main and abandoning this line. So I actually cut through it again here on the other curtain drain, but it was already disconnected at that time. Well, we're here at the end of day 1. I kind of stopped filming over there because I hit an unmarked gas line and it was kind of a fiasco. And then I didn't really record any of the rest of the day because it was slow and I didn't get a lot done. So I was using the power rake to break up this grass, but this Bermuda grass was just so strong. I've gone over it like 10 times, even trying to water it to muddy it up to make it a little bit easier to grind through. But it's still, you know, there's still, that's connected right there, you know, a lot of them are. So I think I'm gonna borrow a tiller and a tractor from somebody and till this up. I just gotta be really careful because some of these lateral lines don't have a lot of cover on them. That's why I was wanting to use the power rake to strip all this grass off. Which, I mean, it's close, but you know, you can still see there's a good bit of grass still standing there. So I'll get that tomorrow morning, till this up more. Over here, these are all piles of grass that I didn't plan on loading out, but probably gonna have to load those out now. And that's just all the grass and stuff that the power rake pushed up over to here. So while trenching this curtain drain, I hit an unmarked gas line right there. It took a while to find where this line was. They started digging over here, wasn't over there, then they found it over here, and they put a plug on it, and they thought it was just an abandoned line that wasn't capped at the main, which is across the street. Then they came back at like 6 p.m. and they found out that this line actually is a line that goes to like 3 or 4 houses down there. So what they think is that down there is the oldest house. All these houses are new, and they think that they ran a service from the highway up there all the way through everybody's yard over to here, and it's an old line that doesn't have a tracer wire, and they didn't mark it. The line for this house is over there. The line for this house is over there. So anyway, no charges to me, but it set me back about a day, and that sucks because I had everything planned perfectly and now it's all screwed up. Over here you can see where I've tied into the curtain drain right there. And the old curtain drain that was on the downhill side of this whole system that was collecting effluent has been capped and concrete plugged, so that's abandoned. And then that curtain drain line that was downhill, the whole system went from about here over to about the back of my truck. And we're gonna completely abandon that one. And then it used to tee off right about here and come out and go to the road. I've capped it at the road. I've capped it on this side and that side, so it's double plugged there. So nothing should make its way out to the road out here. And if it does, that one's capped too. Right up here is where I compacted the clay dam, and basically what that was I mentioned the landscaper had come through and made some ruts, and they dug it out, tried to fix it. But basically they dug a trench from the lateral line to the curtain drain, which is right about here, and then did not backfill it properly. They really didn't know what they were doing. And so effluent was leaking from that lateral line over to this curtain drain and then draining out to the road, and basically just putting effluent water in the ditch out there, which is a no-no. So I dug that out, placed that back in lifts with clay and tamped it all in. So that should alleviate that. But even if it doesn't totally alleviate it, you know, we're still gonna abandon this line here because the health department didn't want one on the downhill side anyway. So over here, I trenched as far as I could. I don't know, about 30 feet or so. That gas line that is abandoned slash in use slash nobody knows about runs right about in here. So I stopped well clear of that. What they're gonna try to do tomorrow is actually put a new service in from the main on the other side of the road straight to that house. And then they can abandon this entire line that goes through everybody's front yard all the way to the highway that they have no way of marking. So back to this trench, again, stopped short, but got it going here about 30 feet or so. And up here, I need to push that pipe down, but it's tied into the curtain drain along the side of the system. And then again, capped the curtain drain that's down on the downhill into the system. So that's about it. It's been a rough day. So just a little bit of information about Kentucky and their curtain drains, what our state requires. If they're trenched in like this and they're under 6 inches wide, the trench can be backfilled with pea gravel. But if the trench is dug out with an excavator or any bucket that is wider than 6 inches wide, you have to use what they call trench rock, which is like number 2s or 3s or 4s. Our quarry doesn't have 4s, so that means we have to use 2s or 3s, which are like a little bit smaller than baseball size rocks, and they're really hard to level out and everything. So I usually always try to trench so I can use pea gravel. got the curtain drain all done over there. We got the curtain drain done here. All the gas line people are finally done and out of my way so I can fill their holes in. I've tilled the whole yard with a tractor tiller, which worked 1,000 times better than the Harley rake. Do not try to Harley rake a yard to till it. I loaded out one triaxle load and about 1/3 of a triaxle load of grassy topsoil mix that is basically like dethatching material that the Harley rake brought out. So that was a loss there. I did not intend on doing that. I just thought I could till everything into the soil and then be good to go. Anyway, I've spread out one load of dirt that got delivered. This is the second load I've got. I'll show you what I've done here. See that stake right there? Pounded that into the ground, then measured up. I think I measured up like 7 inches at that one and made a mark and painted up to it. So that's how high the dirt needs to go in that area. Did the same thing with one over there and got dirt pretty much at that level there. And that's just notating where the existing curtain drain tied in at. That's another grade stake, another grade stake. I got 5 or 6 grade stakes out here. And then one over there where that pipe sticking up is where that curtain drain tied in as well. So those two show me where this curtain drain was running. So I know about how far off of that I can put the new lateral line when I dig that in next. Well, I say next, I mean after I place all this cover soil. So this plan required to have 7 inches of settled cover soil out here for the new line. And then these lines should have already had that 7 inches of settled cover soil over it, but it kind of varies, low spots and whatnot, like anywhere from 1 inch to, 5 inches. So that's why I'm spreading dirt out here and gonna recover all this so that way effluent's not popping up in this guy's yard. And again, just bringing it up to these grade stakes there. That one I think was 6 inches. That one over there might have been, 5-6 inches. So anyway, the first load of topsoil I spread out took me 25 minutes with the ASV RT40. So let's see if I can do this one in about the same amount of time. So there's a lot of time-lapse video of this day while all those trucks were being delivered with dirt. It was kind of difficult to move the camera around a lot, but what I'm trying to show here is how I spread the dirt. Basically, I'm going over these lateral lines, so I can't have the truck back all the way into this area because it would possibly crush those lines or compact that soil and make the septic not work as well. So I'm having to dump them, outside of the septic area, then move the material with the track loader. And then what I normally do is I'll get a scoop. As I drive forward, I sprinkle the dirt out of the bucket, and then I back drag it with the teeth down to help break up the clots. And sometimes I put it in float, sometimes I don't, but that'll get it fairly level. And then after I do that, I go back over it and actually put it a little bit closer to grade. But it really helps to run the teeth through the material to help break up all the dirt clots so that it'll rake out or level out a lot better. Make another quick note about these grade stakes I've placed out there. And I think I had 5 or 6 of them out there to show what grade I needed to bring this dirt up to. Those are really helpful. It's a lot easier than playing with your laser all the time. You know, I just set those out there, and one laser setup I could shoot the grade where things needed to be. And then also it kind of shows the customer and client, you know, that you are filling up to what you said you would. You know, they wanted to make sure they got the right amount of cover soil over the existing system, so helps them, you know, ease their mind a little bit. The other way to do this is what they call blue tops, and what that is you use a stake that's a lot shorter and you drive that down to grade. You hit it with a hammer into the ground until it's at proper grade, and then usually they're painted blue, and then you grade to the top of those stakes, so they would get, you know, theoretically they would be flush with the top of your dirt when you're all done grading. So could have done that here, but you know, I just had these stakes, so that's what I used. And you know, I paint them up to my grade line, so then pretty much once you don't see the paint anymore, you know you're good. I really like this next sequence coming here. You can see that dirt in front of me. That's after dumping it and back dragging it with the teeth. And then I go perpendicular to that and I start smoothing that out. And that's basically just using the front of the bucket and the back edge of the bucket, just, you know, running it flat. And you can see just how much nicer that looks looking that up after placing that dirt out there. Alright, another late night. I lost track of how many trucks we put down, but I don't know, probably 10 maybe. Triaxle loads of dirt. So more than I'd planned on. I figured on 8 for this job, and this stinks a little bit because they're $300 a load. But anyway, I always treat every job like it's my own. So yard's looking pretty nice, rough graded. Obviously I'll Harley rake it and things like that before I seed and straw. And I've got 3 more loads coming. I'm gonna stage 1 load over there by that pile of pea gravel, and I'll use that after the lateral lines go in and everything's done. And then I've got 2 more loads coming. He's gonna stage them here and here, probably somewhere. I've got a little bit more to finish up there, and then I want to tie in this bank a little bit better right here. which might be something I do after I install the laterals anyway, because that lateral is going to basically go from that tree over to that somewhere over there behind my truck. Feeling good about this job again after all that gas line strike issues that really put me behind, but I feel like I'm back in control of what's going on now, so that's good, I guess. All right, morning of day 3. Just blew off all the dust off the machines, put the door on the skid steer to help with the dust in my eyes, and got everything greased up. And I got 3 loads delivered this morning, just piled up. So I'm gonna get those spread out. Got a low area in here. Might put a little bit more along that side over there, and gonna save some for after the lateral line goes in. Let's get started. I just put the land plane on. Go ahead and try to flatten this out a little bit, give it just a little bit more pitch going out that way. So let's see how that does. You'll notice pretty much all the grading I do, I go left to right, and then I turn and I go basically towards the road and towards the house. And I just find that's the best way to do my grading, is like cross hatch it. So once you go one way and you get it and you like it that way, if you go perpendicular to it or close to perpendicular to it, you can just finish that off a lot better. Instead of having a bunch of lines one way, when you turn the other way, it kind of eases out all those bumps. All right, let's go over a little bit of the septic details here. I just got finished shooting elevations and everything. So this line right here is going to the last lateral line, and there's no D-box right here. The next line up has a D-box. They call them hillside boxes. So I need to dig and install a hillside box right here. Then it'll tee off into that line, and then it'll also flow, once that line fills up, over to the last line that I'm adding. And the reason it's going so far over, usually it only has to be 8 feet off. But the reason I'm going so far over is because that existing curtain drain is right here, which we've plugged on both ends, but still I just want to stay 10 feet away from that curtain drain. This orange line is my new lateral line going in. I think it should be about 86 feet or so. And I will just tie from that distribution box over and probably to the side of this end cap here, and then run that out. Now this is going about 21 inches deep from this grade right here. Made a mark on this tree over here, and that was 28 inches from that mark down to existing grade. So I've got 10 inches over it right now, That'll probably settle a little bit more, even though I've been driving over it with a skid steer and everything like that. It might settle a little bit more, but we're definitely gonna have our 7 inches of cover over this whole thing. And then I'm going 21 inches deep at this point right here, which if we say that's gonna settle another, you know, 2 to 3 inches, then that's only gonna make it about 18 inches deep. And that will be a 12-inch tall chamber with 6 inches of cover. So everything is on grade perfect here, and really just worked out well. So, and I have fall from that box to this end cap. So I'm gonna go ahead and use the iDig to start digging this point all the way back to there, 21 inches deep from here, and I'll carry that grade all the way over to the other end. All right, hopefully we don't get too many roots here. Existing ground is really hard. Catch button. Since I moved, go over here, catch the laser, got it, and back to digging. And you can even spot check that back there is on grade. I'm gonna go ahead and rake out the bottom a little bit and check it with the laser rod just to see how things are, and then might start laying chambers in. So it's pretty much lunchtime. I'm kind of hungry. All right, these chambers are pretty simple. They say inlet end on the opposite end there. Here's a couple tips and tricks I learned. So I staged these all right here on the edge with the clip facing towards the trench. That way when you grab it and put it in, the inlet end is already forward. So obviously this first one's a little goofy because you have to set it underneath the cap and get it to clip in there. Now with every other one, you can grab this end with a hook, put it in that hook, drop it down. And then another tip is every time you place one, go ahead and give it a little nudge, make sure it's fit up tight. So, over a couple 100 feet trench, an inch or a half inch or a quarter inch or an eighth inch, each one of these gaps close up, that can get you more length. I also want to point out these are the Infiltrator Quick 4 Plus chambers. So they're 36 inch wide, they're 12 inches tall, and that's their standard Quick 4 chamber because they're 4 foot long. But what makes these Quick 4 Plus is they have these support legs in here. So the old Quick 4s that fail a lot are just the arch, and that's it. And these Quick 4 Plus have these support feet in the middle, 2 of them, and that really helps big time. Strength-wise. So when your inspection is done, basically what they'll do is they'll shoot the tops of these and make sure that they're level. The tolerance is actually 4 inches. So we'll just go through and double check, make sure they're all good, so that when I have the inspection, I'm not nervous about it. All right, they all checked out nice and level. This first one here is probably about an inch high. I can see it too, but otherwise beyond that, they're flat. See the driveway there and say, well, we could put a couple more chambers in, but remember our curtain drain is right there, about 3 or 4 feet off the driveway, and the chambers and the laterals need to be 10 feet away from a curtain drain. So that's what I'm doing, making sure I stay 10 feet away. Normally you backfill these with just dirt, and you sprinkle a little bit around each side or use the shovel just like I'm doing and rake off onto the sides. But since I have all that leftover pea gravel from my curtain drain work, because the health department kind of modified my curtain drain plan a little bit, made less linear footage, which was good, but I had already delivered all my stones. So anyway, with all that extra pea gravel, I'm gonna go ahead and place that along each side of these chambers, and that'll provide, one, some strength and rigidity, putting some nice granular fill on each side of these chambers, but then it'll also provide extra storage capacity for effluent. All right, just as a quick little showing of what we're doing here. This is the line coming from the third hillside box. You can hear there's some water dribbling in there. So that means that third box is currently taking water. And I'm going to install another box right here. So this line will come into that box. Then I'm probably going to drop down 2 inches and run into this lateral line, which is the old last one. I added a new one. So this is the 4th line. You can see this one here is about half full of effluent. I don't know if you can see in there very well, but there's water in there. So that's obviously why the system isn't working very good, is how hard this ground is. But hopefully adding this 5th line will definitely help that out. You had another 1,500 gallons or so of storage capacity. So again, we're gonna come out of here. We're gonna have a box here with a drop 2 inches to go out to that one. And then I'll probably just run level over to this last line again too. I don't think I'm gonna do the 2-inch drop. Cutting these out is kind of a chore, but we'll do this one as the in, and then we'll do an out here and an out here. All right, so that's in. Out, we're going to do it the same level. All right, just getting this D-box prepped, cutting the holes in it. So I got my in and my out, and then the one going to this line, I'm going to do 2 inches lower. So that'll be this hole here. What that'll do is that'll utilize the full capacity of this line before going on to the next one. If they were both level, then this one and that one would get even distribution. And really this one would not fill all the way up since that one's lower than this one. All right. Now the seals, they push in like so. And then you thread this collar on. And the reason I really like these boxes, even though they're a pain to assemble compared to a regular tough type box, is it has all these different elevations you can cut holes into. So on something like this where it's a repair job where everything's not working out like it needs to, you know, you'd have to go buy a different box, whereas here, you know, you can cut the hole wherever you need to make your elevations work out. So next you kind of rip this tab out. Be very careful not to cut the into the sidewall of it. So once you start it with your knife, you grab it with your finger and rip it the rest of the way. There we go, that's what it looks like when it's ripped out. That'll seal nice and tight around that pipe. Alright, last thing, it's got little feet for it. Helps stabilize it. And obviously it's got a lid. Lid has a nice seal on it, and it screws on. But you can also get a grate for them. Instead of a hard lid, you can get a smooth grate and use it as a basin for like yard drainage. It's Monday morning. We got about an inch of rain overnight, kind of all night long. It's still raining right now, so perfect little rainstorm to pack all this in place and get that seed established. Pump truck is here now, pumping out the tank. We'll take a look at that. Sorry I didn't get much footage yesterday. I was racing to get done before this rain. Had a couple helpers come spread out all this straw and got this thing all Harley raked down and looking good. So I'll walk around and get a few more video shots of that. But basically we backfilled that lateral line and graded everything down. Usually I leave the lines mounded up, but for this guy I graded it down and told him we might need to come back and add some extra dirt where that lateral line is. Probably gonna have to add some in some sinkholes where the gas line was dug up and things like that too. But pumper man's getting done. Whew, don't throw that at me.
Make sure you get my good side.
So here's their 1,500 gallon tank with the filter in her. Filter's all cleaned out. That's that. When I came and looked last time, man, that filter was so nasty they hadn't cleaned it and had like band-aids and everything else in it.
I hate filters, man.
Yeah.
Because the homeowner never thinks about it. You know, they always just get stopped up and it causes them problems all the time, you know.
Well, I tried to set them up on like an every 6 month cleaning. All right, so rain's starting to pick up again, so I'm gonna get going, but this has a nice fall coming off this way and then also fall going that way towards the mailbox. Really not seeing any standing water. And with all this rain, I mean, I had some standing water in my yard. Once that gets some grass growing on it, it'll look real nice. Here's where all those gas line holes were dug out. Like I said, we're probably gonna see some settlement around here. Ditch is doing its job. One thing I was checking too is that these curtain drains aren't spitting water anymore. Still dry dirt inside there. That was part of the problem they were having. Was there was an issue where the curtain drain was spewing out effluent. Ditch here, you can see there's water flowing right along this line. Yard looks good. Straw blanket on the steep slopes here. And same thing with that curtain drain there. I can tell, I see some dust and dry dirt inside there, so I know it's still doing its job. It's not taking effluent. All right, well, this is about a week and a half later, and figured I'd come back since I was in the rain on the last time. But everything's looking good. We've had a lot of rain since this went in. We've had some really bad thunderstorms and whatnot, so I'm happy to see that the ditch is still holding up good. The erosion straw blanket held everything in place. I came here a few days ago and filled in a couple low spots like here and one up here. Otherwise, there's some grass growing, and yeah, it looks good. Looks really nice. So pretty soon this whole yard will be green and hopefully blend in pretty well. And then I told him next year, or maybe this fall, he might look at getting a real landscape company to come out here and you know, dethatch it and maybe aerate it and overseed it with some sort of specialty mix. I just use like a contractor seed mix, and he's wanting a real nice lawn. So, you know, I do the best I can, but I'm not a landscaper, I'm an excavating contractor. And when it comes to fertilizer and all the special applications to get nice fancy striped grass, that's not my forte. So, all right, that'll wrap this one up. I appreciate you guys watching. If you would, like, subscribe, go ahead and shoot me any questions or comments about septic repairs or anything else. I'd be happy to answer how I can.